Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. This is my hype list for board games coming out in 2025. I recently released a video on my top 10 most anticipated games of the year that I have played. Those are games that I knew were good because I already covered them in prototype form or other thing like that, and I know that they're coming out in 2025, and I'm really excited for you to get a chance to play them. These games are ones I haven't played yet, but I'm really excited for them to come up. I've maybe demoed these games, I've seen them at conventions, I've talked to publishers, but I haven't played full games of any of these, but they all got me juiced up. They all got me excited. They all got me hyped. I have a pretty good idea that they're going to be good. You know what I mean? I know the teams behind them and stuff like that. So I'm excited for all these games to come out in 2025. One of the best ways to check out new games is to go to board game conventions and play games with people. I will actually be at the Level Up convention in Woodbridge, New Jersey, sort of near New York City. I'll be there January 31st through February 2nd, 3 days of gaming. Come on out and play games and hang out and say hello and all that good stuff. I love playing games. It is hard to whittle a hype list down to just 10 games. When I was making my short list for this video, when I was sort of looking through the games that are coming out, my short list was 25 games, and I did it. I got it down to 10, but I'll just mention the other 15 games that were sort of on my short list. I'm not going to go into these, but these are other games you know I'm excited about as well. Flickering Stars, Tea Garden, Nature, For a Crown, Lord of the Rings trick-taking game, Space Potato, Dicey Devices, Whispering Woods, Excalibur, Everdell Duo, Azul Duo, 3 Chapters, Flow, Boom Patrol, How to Save a World. I'm excited for all you too. Sorry you didn't make the list, but I'll still check you out. Okay, number 10, most anticipated game that I haven't played yet is the game Tea Witches from the Op Games. This plays 2 to 4 players in 60 minutes and is a medium weight game. There's been very little released about this game yet, so I actually don't know that much about it. But you've seen this probably on a lot of top 10 most anticipated games of the year videos, and the reason is because of the team behind it. This is the team behind Flamecraft. It is the duo of designer Manny Vega and artist Sandara Tang that made Flamecraft. This is their follow-up game, and that alone, I think, has a lot of people excited, including me. That's one of the reasons I want to check it out. I love Flamecraft. I think it is a really great sort of welcoming plus game. You know, it's a game that has strategy, but it's not too hard to get into, and you can play it with a lot of different people, and it just looks really cool on the table. Well, Tea Witches is the follow-up game. Thematically, you are serving witches during the Tequinox Fair and see if your tea reigns supreme. The game has a push your luck element in it, and I always love push your luck in games. It's just one of my favorite things in games because it always comes with big, emotional, exciting moments and stuff like that. So in the summoning phase of Tea Witches, players will simultaneously draw a crowd of witches to their tea hut, being mindful not to push their luck too far, as any identical witches will cause a hex. Oh no. But yeah, again, it's a strategy game that has a push your luck element in it, and that sounds fun to me. Number 9 on my list is the game Raas, A Dance of Love from Arcane Wonders. This plays 1 to 6 players in 30 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. I get real hyped from production quality, production value, table presence, all that stuff. Table presence is just an easy way to get me excited about a game, and there's probably not a game coming out this year that has cooler table presence than Raas, A Dance of Love. There are these rotating sort of platforms, circular platforms, and they have dice on them and lots of colors and stuff like that. And when you rotate one, it's going to rotate the others, I think. You know, there's kind of a gear element to it. but it is dice drafting, and dice drafting is another thing I always like in games. You will be taking dice, and the colors of the dice are going to matter for moving up tracks, for creating different synergies and benefits and that sort of stuff. Points can be scored by matching the tempo of the song each round, meeting sponsors' requirements, outfitting your dance troupe, and ensuring that they are capable of the whole breadth of possible dance styles and tempos. The dice represent sort of dancers, and you are drafting dancers from the central dance floor to train up on your own personal player board. And, find love. There's a love element to it as well, and who doesn't like love? But if you want table presence, man, Raas, A Dance of Love is definitely going to be a game for you. Number 8 on my list is the game Holiday Hills from Chris Couch Games. This plays 2 to 5 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. This one is actually coming to crowdfunding at the beginning of the year, but then will sort of release, they're hoping it will release by the end of the year. Their plan is like crowdfunding in March, game getting to people and having a retail release by like October, November. Holiday Hills is a Christmas theme game, and if you've watched my channel before, you know I love everything Christmas. You want to end up on my top hype games of the year? Make a game about Christmas. That is a surefire way to end up on my list. I feel like Santa's Workshop made my list, and a bunch of, anytime there's like a strategy Christmas game, I'm like, yeah, I'm on board. I love it. I'm in. I want to check it out. And so Holiday Hills is a game where you are decorating Christmas trees in the sort of central area of the board. You will be moving around the outside of the trees and picking up decorations, but you can only hold so many, and then you'll be putting stars on trees and other decorations, things like you're putting like ornaments on the trees, and then you're also putting dice presents under the trees, and there's a light area control aspect of it, I believe, like with how the dice are going out around the trees and stuff like that. And when you're picking up stuff, one of the things that you have to decorate regularly because you can't hold that many things. When you're sort of deciding how much to move around the outside of the board, and whenever you pass over stuff, you can pick up stuff, but you can't hold a ton, so you need to keep decorating the trees out there, and it looks really pretty. This is another one that has some great table presents and stuff like that, and I think it'll be a fun game to pull out every holiday season and stuff like that. So, compete to create the most enchanting display and spread holiday cheer in this delightful decorating adventure. I love spreading holiday cheer. I am on board, Holiday Hills. Number 7 on my list is the game Pergola from Rebel Studio. This plays 1 to 4 players in 45 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, but maybe on the lighter end of medium weight. This is another nature game, but man, this one is gorgeous. If you're looking for, beautiful artwork, sort of serene nature scenes, I think Pergola is going to be one high on your list as well. It will certainly be one of the prettiest games of the year. The colors and the look of it is just really gorgeous. You are developing your garden, growing plants, attracting insects and animals to your garden. One of the things I liked about this one is the sort of action selection. There are these tools, and you can choose a tool, and that tool will give you a specific action for the round. So you can't always maybe do every action. You can only do the actions on the tools that are available, and you have to draft one of the tools, and that will get you an action for the round. And that's pretty cool. The other thing that's interesting about Pergola is you have your own player area, your sort of personal player board, and you will be putting insects and animals and plants and stuff like that on your player board. But there's not specific places that you have to put them. It's a little bit more open-ended, and you are kind of making your garden however you want. It's a little bit more abstract. It says players have a lot of freedom in arranging plants in their garden. And so the way you do things is going to score points in different ways. I could see that being a thing that some people don't like about this game, because maybe there's not quite as much structure as some other games, but that's also one of the things that makes me interested in the game, because it feels different. You know, it's not just like you have to put a tile here and you have to put a thing here and you have to put a thing. It's up to you to sort of build it how you want, which makes the game replayable, makes it feel different every time you play it, and you know, adds a little bit of sort of almost artistic element to the game, because it's up to you. It's up to you what your garden is going to look like. That is Pergola. Number 6 for me is the game Australis from Cosmos. Plays 2 to 4 players in 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, but on the lower end of medium weight. In the game, you're drafting these dice. You're playing as sea turtles, and you are drafting your dice and then trying to sort of stand your ground in the current that is happening. And so there's kind of sort of multiple aspects of the game. You're drafting dice, and that will get you benefits and allow you to do actions and stuff like that. But then at the end of each phase, at the end of each round, you're just going to be doing a dice battle with other people playing. And the dice battle will sort of get you extra benefits, points, and that sort of stuff. So, you know going into this that there is a decent amount of luck. Anytime you add a bunch of dice rolling, there's inherently going to be luck in it. And so I think there are probably people that, you know, the first time you play this, if you rolled well, you're going to love the game. And if you didn't roll well, you're going to be frustrated by the game. But I just, I like dice drafting and stuff like that. And I like that turn. That sort of, you know, it's like a strategic game, and then at some point it's just like, we're just going to do some chaotic dice rolling right now. And that's a weird sort of combo, but a combo that makes me interested in the game and makes me, you know, I don't know, it feels different for sure in that way. So if you like dice drafting, dice rolling, and the type of dice, there are different sort of types of dice, and those are going to, again, give you different actions and stuff like that, you know. Form growing schools of fish and settle corals on different coral reefs are some of the things you can do. All right, number 5 for me is the game House of Fado from Eagle Gryphon Games. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. So, Eagle Gryphon Games and designer Vital Lacerda are known for some of their big heavyweight games, like truly heavyweight, you know, 4-hour games, lots of different stuff going on in them. And over the last few years, they've been sort of making re-implementations of games that are more medium weight games. So Bot Factory was a game that came out a couple of years ago that was sort of taking the main mechanisms of Kanban and making it a little bit more accessible. So House of Fado is essentially that same thing for Vital Lacerda's game, The Gallerist. And this is the medium weight version of The Gallerist. And I know a lot of people that love the heavyweight Lacerda games, but as I've mentioned multiple times on my channel, I'm more of a medium weight gamer. It'll break my brain too much, and I just don't have the patience to play a 4-hour game. It's just not who I am. If I have 4 hours to play games, I want to play 2 or 3 games, not one game. That's just the kind of gamer I am. And so I haven't played a lot of those, you know, big, heavy games. And so I'm really just excited about the fact that there are opportunities for gamers like me to still enjoy some of these obviously amazing mechanisms. You know, those games, Lacerda's games are all rated very highly, and I recognize they're very good games. They're just not my games. And so I'm just, House of Fado is a way for somebody like me to sort of get into Lacerda. This is a worker placement game at its core. Thematically really cool. It's a traditional thing in Portugal. These House of Fados are these restaurants where when you go in, you don't leave the whole night. There's no turnover of tables. You go in and you experience culture and music and food. And so there's these really great musicians that play this specific type of music, and the music is all about sort of longing and nostalgia for older things or yearning, missing something, and so there's a lot of emotion in that, and this game is capturing that experience of going to one of these restaurants. It also does mechanically something that I really like, which is in worker placement. There's bumping in it. So if you go to a worker placement spot, you're going to get some benefits, but someone else can come there and then bump you to one of these sort of associated benefits, and you can choose and then get more money or points or things like that. And so I like that aspect in games, the bumping aspect, because it adds a little bit more player interaction into a worker placement game. You know, there are times where I'm like, oh, I might go here because I think you're going to go there, and then I'll get an extra benefit, and that can help my turn continue. That can help me do extra stuff before I sort of shut it down for the round. And so, yeah, I just like that player interaction in worker placement games. So if you like bumping in your games, bumping workers, House of Fado might be for you. Staying in that sort of same vein of medium weight versions of bigger games, number 4 on my list is Great Western Trail El Paso. This is from Lookout Games. This plays 1 to 4 players in 60 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. This is the more accessible medium weight version of the game Great Western Trail. Again, Great Western Trail is a little bit too much for me, but El Paso, I had a chance to demo it for 15 minutes, play a few rounds, and it's not too much for me. This is a way to get people into sort of the great world of Great Western Trail without, you know, taking a long time. You can play El Paso in an hour instead of multiple hours. So it's just mechanically and thematically, it's doing a lot of the same things. You're going to buy cattle to increase the value of your herd. You're going to construct buildings to unlock more actions. You're going to participate in the expansion of the railroad. But, you know, just again, all a little bit more accessible, a little bit easier to get into, a little bit shorter of a play time. You're still going to be, you know, moving around in a rondel with a worker and taking actions and benefits at the different places you land. And there's a lot of hand management where you're trying to get specific cattle into your hand before you make a round of the board and stuff like that. So it serves as an introduction to the series and is the perfect game for game nights where there is not enough time for its big brothers. So yeah, I like this trend of making medium weight versions of heavier weight games. That works well for me personally, for sure. Number 3 on my list of most anticipated games of 2025 that I haven't played is the game Wandering Galaxy, a Crossroads game. Plays 1 to 6 players in 60 to 180 minutes, and it is a medium weight game from Plaid Hat Games. And this one actually comes out at the end of January, so I don't have to wait that long for this into 2025. This will be one that I will cover in my Best Games Coming to Retail series. So if you watch that series, or if you don't watch that series, I make a video on all the best games that are coming to stores near you, so check that out. And Wandering Galaxy is coming out in January. This is the next up in a line of games, including Freelancers and Forgotten Waters, that is all about sort of choose-your-own-adventure storytelling, and I love all of the games in the series because of the voice acting and the script and the storylines in it. There are not many games that I have laughed at as much as I laugh in playing Freelancers or Forgotten Waters or stuff like that. The acting, the story is all just really great. And Wandering Galaxy takes that sort of same branching choose your own adventure storytelling and puts it into a space theme. I love space themes, and so that's one of the reasons I'm into it. And also, those other games I mentioned, Forgotten Waters and Freelancers, the sort of core of the game was rolling dice and doing dice checks, skill checks to sort of pass and choose which way the story was going. Wandering Galaxy, it gets rid of the dice, and instead, this is a deck building game. And so you will be purchasing cards that will add symbols to your deck of cards, and then when you have to do sort of skill checks, instead of rolling dice, you're going to flip over cards, and you need certain symbols to, pass skill checks or to do better and get a better benefit or, take the story in a different direction. And so, it's a little bit more strategic in that way, in that we can build our decks. It is a cooperative game, I should mention that, but we can build our decks in different ways. And so, we need to do this certain stuff. Oh, you should be the one that goes and does this because you've built your deck that way, and I'm going to do this. And, we're going to be flying around the galaxy, completing missions, all that sort of stuff. It's just, man, these games have ruined me for storytelling games in the sense that, like, there are a lot of storytelling games, board games with a storytelling element, where I have to sort of open it up and read it. I'm over it. These games, the voice acting and the app and stuff like that reads it all aloud to you is just so good. I don't want to read it myself. I don't want to play a game where I have to read it myself. I just want the app. It just makes it an immersive experience. It makes it so you're kind of, you feel you're in the world and stuff like that. It's just great storytelling in the game for sure. So that's Wandering Galaxy. Number 2 on my list is the game Crafting the Cosmos from Office Dog Games. Plays 2 to 4 players in 60 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. I just mentioned how I love space-themed games. Crafting the Cosmos is like the most space-themed game because you are literally, building planets and cosmos and galaxies and stuff like that. I also am a sucker for table presence, as I mentioned earlier in the video, and this has amazing table presence as well. So it has both of those things working for it for me personally. One of the reasons that I'm really excited about Crafting the Cosmos. There's a sort of central player area with these marbles and that sort of stuff, and you are going to move these marbles around, and those are going to get you actions and get you resources and things like that. Different colored marbles are going to get you different resources, and then you're going to use the resources to build out your own player board. And a lot of what you're trying to do is get certain things around specific planets, build patterns around planets to score planets, and there's just a lot of cool sort of crafting that you can do on your own personal player board. And again, it looks really, really amazing. So every round, your turn is going to consist of energy and craft. And so as I mentioned, energy is sort of moving the energy around and getting resources, and then crafting is building your actual cosmos. And all of this stuff in the game is very sort of grounded in real science, which I like, that they are real elements and real just all the stuff. Like it is actually, you need hydrogen and helium and carbon and oxygen and all that sort of stuff that you actually need to build life in the real world. So yeah, that's Crafting the Cosmos. If you want space-themed table presence, check it out. And my number 1 most anticipated game, my hyped game of the year, is Lairs from Kids Table Board Games. Plays 2 players only in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, though on the sort of lighter end of medium weight game. I will admit, Battleship is a game that I still like. I don't own a copy, but if I'm at a brewery and all they have is something like Battleship, I'll play Battleship. It's still fun. I have a good time with Battleship. And Lairs is sort of like more strategic Battleship. I compare it to Battleship because it's 2 players that have sort of a private thing, and you are going to build that thing initially and then be calling stuff out to the other player and moving around. But instead of battleships and stuff like that, you have literal layers. Like the idea is building your own dungeon. So you are going to build you're going to build a dungeon at the start of the game, and you're going to put in traps and monsters, and there's going to be an exit and, that sort of stuff. and then you are going to move through the layer that someone else created for you, and they're going to try to move through the one that you've created for them. And there's like a deduction element of like, okay, I figured out that this is there, so how do I, you're going to sort of bumble around, but then sort of find where stuff is, and there's ways to level up your characters, there's ways to get better benefits and stuff like that, and so, yeah, I just love the sort of, this is a game that I can see a lot of getting people into board games. This is because of that sort of familiar connection to something like Battleship. I feel like I will be able to say that to people and get them to play it, and then it's just going to open up the world of board games to them a bunch. I like games that are great introductions to the hobby, and I do feel like Lairs is going to be that. I also really like solid two-player games. I feel like it's a bigger trend in the hobby right now to come out with two-player games because they're just easy to get to the table. And I'm just happy that there's going to be a dope two-player game in 2025. And so, yeah, Lairs is going to be fun. All these games are going to be fun. I'm excited for all of them. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know in the comments some of the games you're really excited about playing. There's so many I could have included in this video. There's a lot of games coming out every year. The board game hobby is bringing it these days. Thank you to designers, thank you to publishers, thank you to everybody involved, artists and all that sort of stuff, because you're making great games these years and these days, and just bringing a lot of joy to a lot of people. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be back with more videos soon. I am Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Thanks for liking, subscribing, all that sort of stuff. See you soon.